Welcome to Golden Software's demonstration video for Grapher 10. This video will briefly explain the different map types created in Grapher. Grapher has over 60 different types of plots that can be created depending on the type of data you have and what you want displayed on the graph. The type of plots are classified in 6 different categories. To see these categories, click on the Graphs tab and look at the Create section. The categories are Basic, Bar, Polar, Specialty, Statistical, and Contour Surface. The first category is Basic, created by clicking Graphs, Create, Basic. The basic plot types are used to display lines, points, and bubbles on 2 or 3 axes. All properties of the basic graph plot are editable, including the symbols and lines. Some of the basic graph plots include the line scatter plot, which is useful when plotting symbols and lines of the data. Multiple line plots can be added to one graph to display multiple data sets at one time. The lines drawn to connect the data points are drawn using the shortest path. Similar to the line scatter plot is the step plot. In the step plot, the lines that connect points are drawn parallel or perpendicular to the axes. The bubble plot is used to display variables on a scatter type plot. However, the size of the bubbles vary in relation to another dimension of data. For the 2D bubble plot, the bubbles are plotted based on the XY location. Then the size of the bubble is related to the third variable, in this case, concentration. Most of the basic graph types can be created as a 2D or 3D graph. This is an example of the 3D function plot. The function plots in Grapher do not require a data file, but are defined by a parametric or non-parametric equation. The equation is defined in the property manager for the function plot. The next category of graphs are the bar charts. Click Graphs, Create, Bar. The bar charts in Grapher can display data as bars or floating bars in 2 or 3 dimensions. Some examples of the bar charts include horizontal or vertical bar charts that can be used to display data as bars drawn from the base to a data value. If you have more than one variable, such as multiple y values for each x, then you can stack the bars on top of each other. For a stacked bar chart, the height of the bar is equal to the total sum of the variables. The bar charts can also be displayed as adjacent so that the values are plotted side by side. Another type of bar chart is the floating bar chart. The floating bar charts display the difference between 2 sets of values. For the horizontal bar chart shown, the length of each bar is drawn from the minimum x value to the maximum x value for each y value. The bar charts can also be displayed in 3 dimensions. The 3D bar charts can also be stacked or displayed adjacent. The next category of graph types are the polar plots. To create, click Graphs, Create, Polar. The polar plots are used to display lines, points, and bars on polar axes. The data is defined by angle and distance from the center of a plot. Some examples of polar plots. The polar line scatter plot shown is used to represent data that is plotted as a degree, radian, or grad data versus a radial distance. The polar line scatter plots are similar to the line scatter plot in that multiple plots can be displayed in a single graph. The rows plot is similar to a histogram that displays data in groups or bins. Each bin in the rows plot represents the number of occurrences of an event that falls within the specific angular region, or bin size. The wind chart in Grapher is often used to represent wind data, although other data can be represented. The wind chart, like the rows plot, also displays the data in bins. Each bin represents the number of times wind flows in a given direction. The bin is separated by another column, creating stacked bars displaying the speed of the wind. The next category of plots in Grapher are referred to as the specialty plots. Click Graphs, Create, Specialty. This category refers to several different graph types that focus on displaying different types of data. The candlestick plot is used mainly to display the daily high, low, opening, and close stock values, although you can use other data types. For this plot, a vertical line is drawn between the high and low values with a box representing the open and close values. The box color represents whether the stock value rose or dropped each day. Grapher can create multiple vector plots in 2D or 3D. The vector plots can be defined by XY values, angle, and magnitude, or Grapher can draw vectors between 2 XY points. The type of vector plot is defined in the property manager. The ternary plot is used to display relative percentages in a 3-component system. Ternary plots are commonly used in chemistry and earth sciences to display chemical compositions or rock classification schemes. Grapher also has the ability to create statistical plots. Click Graphs, Create, Statistical. The statistical plots are used to represent a statistical property of the data in 2D or 3D. Some of the statistical plots available include the histogram plot, which is used to display the data in groups of bins. The number of bins represent the range of data, while the height displays the total number of data points within the range. The histogram can be displayed vertically or horizontally. The bar can show counts or relative frequency. Another statistical plot is the box whisker plot. The box whisker plot is used to show the minimum, maximum, median, lower, and upper quartile values for an X group in the data. Grapher can create 2D and 3D pie charts. The pie chart will represent the data in slices that are proportional to the data value divided by the sum of all the data. Customize the graphs by adding labels to display what each section represents. The final category of graphs in Grapher are contour surface plots. To create, click Graphs, Create, Contour Surface. The contour and surface plots can be created directly from a data file, grid file, or a function. The contour maps can be flat or displayed in 3D space. Some of these plots include the contour data plots are created from a data file. The gridding method used is inverse distance to a power. The two types of contour data plots are the XY and XZ maps. The XY contour map will map the XY coordinates and then represent the Z values as lines of equal values. The XZ contour map uses the X and Z values for the axis and then represents the Y as lines of equal values. The gridding properties are defined in the Property Manager. Like a function plot, Grapher can create a contour map from a mathematical function. Similar to the contour data maps, the functions can be XY or XZ function maps. The surface grid map uses a grid file to create a 3D surface to display the data. This is an example of a grid file of Mount St. Helens displayed as a 3D surface grid map. Each type of plot has properties that are customizable. To edit the properties of each individual plot, such as line color, lighting, and fill, select the plot in the Object Manager and edit the properties in the Property Manager. To edit the entire graph properties, such as the title or fill, select the graph object in the Object Manager and customize the properties in the Property Manager. This concludes the overview of graph types in Grapher 10. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact Golden Software.